I'm Kaylee, and today I'm reviewing 2 books by Agatha Christie. I recently read both Appointment with Death and Hickory Dickory Dock, and so I'm going to be reviewing both of these today. Before we get started, I'm going to reach back here to our Booktuber Shoutout book, and we're going to shout out somebody randomly. Today's shout out goes to Abby Salter. I will leave a link to their channel in the description. Be sure to go over and subscribe to them. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up if you love Agatha Christie like I do. And of course, follow me over on Instagram and Goodreads and Storygraph and all the places. In Appointment with Death, a family group are visiting Jerusalem, and they make the trip to see the ruins of Petra. Their fellow travelers notice the family seem to be on edge, nervous, even afraid, and their mother, Mrs. Boynton, controls every aspect of their lives. She takes delight in cruelty, torturing them emotionally and mentally for years until they're almost crazed. When Mrs. Boynton is poisoned at Petra, suspicion falls on each of her children. They're obviously relieved that she is dead, and they must have killed her to escape from her brutality. But only Poirot can discover the true killer and sift through the timeline of events that led to Mrs. Boynton's death. I loved this mystery so much. It's a psychological enigma with many layers. There are the Boynton family themselves with their nervous personalities and years of bitterness. And then there are the fellow travelers who observe the family from the outside, speculating on their slow descent into madness. And of course there is Poirot, who sees past all the lies into the truth. I really liked exploring the relationships between the characters. There is a married couple who might split up. There's a young man who falls in love with a stranger on a train. And there's a strong bond between a brother and sister who are willing to lie to protect each other. The dynamic between these characters keeps changing throughout the story as their relationships develop. I always love Agatha Christie's writing style. The mystery has many red herrings, but the clues are all clearly laid out in the end. And the backdrop of the mystical Petra and the long history of Jerusalem is just perfect to explore these deep themes of life and death and mental anguish and love. I gave this book 5 stars. I always love Poirot. In Hickory Dickory Dock, in this version it's actually Hickory Dickory Death, Hercule Poirot's efficient secretary, Miss Lemon, is upset and distracted because there have been some strange thefts at the student hostel that her sister runs. Poirot agrees to investigate the petty thefts to help out Miss Lemon's sister, Mrs. Hubbard. At first it seems like random little things that have gone missing, but there are a few items that stand out from the list. A valuable doctor's stethoscope, a diamond ring, a rucksack that was slashed to pieces, and all the light bulbs in the common rooms. Only Poirot can sift through the clues and find a connection between the missing items. And he begins to find out more about the students who board at the hostel, wondering which of them could be a thief or perhaps a murderer. I really enjoyed this mystery. Poirot is always one of my favorite fictional detectives, and I always love to see the methodical way that he approaches a mystery. In this story, he is assisted by Inspector Sharp, and they have a deep respect for each other and very similar methods. It was adorable to see Poirot sort of realizing for the first time that Miss Lemon has a family and a life outside of her work. She's just such an efficient machine at her job that it's difficult to imagine that she's a human person with a life. It's like when kids see their teacher outside of school and they're just astonished that their teacher is a person. Now, I had already seen the TV episode of this story with David Suchet as Poirot, so I thought that I remembered the answer to the mystery. But then I was reading, I started to wonder if maybe I was misremembering. There are so many red herrings and plot twists that I started to doubt my memory, thinking, well, it couldn't be that guy because he has an alibi. But I thought I remembered that he was involved somehow, but I guess not. That's just how good Christie is at weaving a complex mystery. She really keeps you guessing. Even when you think you know the answer, she still keeps you guessing. At first, I really wasn't seeing the connection between the title of the book and the story, other than the fact that the student hostel is located on Hickory Road, so Hickory Dickory Dock. But the more I thought about it, the more I started to see some themes of childhood nursery rhymes. Hickory Dickory Dock could be a reference to being in the dock, like being on trial. And Mrs. Hubbard is nicknamed Ma or Ma Hubbard by the students under her care, just like the nursery rhyme, Old Mother Hubbard. And that nursery rhyme also mentions a cupboard, which features at one point in the mystery. And there are also a lot of references to various characters' childhoods, like wondering if they had a bad childhood, which might have caused them to have emotional issues that would make them steal. One character is described as crying like a child, and another one is described as saying silly, childish things or having a childish attitude. And some of the thefts are referred to as childish pranks. So there's definitely this underlying theme that sort of explains the title. It's just not obvious at first. It was also just really interesting to analyze all these different characters and their different personalities. They're all young people, full of passion and energy, thrown together in this hostel where they share meals and a common room. So tempers flare and attractions spring up. Everything they do kind of ends up being dramatic. Even if they're just drinking a cup of coffee, they're just kind of dramatic people. And Poirot observes it all, making his own conclusions. So I gave both of these 5 stars. I absolutely love Poirot forever, and I love Agatha Christie. Please leave me a comment and let me know what are some of your favorite Agatha Christie mysteries. I would love to hear some of your favorites. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.